sixth and final Slowpitch Softball Academy session. Tonight we're going to take you through Ask a Blue, which is one of the second of two sessions designed to help improve people's game awareness. We'll go through some introductions, tell you a bit more who our subject matter experts are. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the themes that they'll demystify for us. And then we'll let you know where you can find out more about, if not becoming a blue, because it's not a sales pitch, it's about where to find the rules and generally to get more information. So the Slowpitch Softball Academy is Baseball Softball UK's program. It's in year 2 and it's still in its infancy. It's effectively designed to help slow pitch softballers become better players on the field and now off the field. It's run under the auspices of Coach Robbie Robson, who's on the call with us. Robbie leads fast pitch softball for BSUK's Academy and High Performance Academy, and he's played for country, be it in Zimbabwe and in England even, and he's played at very high level here for GB, but also for Pioneers. Right now you'll find him running out in Blitz Orange, but Robbie's done 4 really good sessions on throwing and then hitting, and now he's here in a supportive role, and he's very closely involved in the overall program. But moving on to our subject matter experts tonight, we've got top right of the screen, we've got Pete Saunders, who hails from Bath. Pete's been umpiring since 1997. He's been with BASU since 1998, and been a BASU trainer since 2012. He's umpired all over the world. He's done European Cups, European Championships, World Cups, you name it, he's umpired it. Bottom left is Mr. Spencer Suckling, who hails from South Africa. He's been coaching and umpiring since around 1993, started in Cape Town, and that's both fast pitch softball and baseball. He moved to London in 97, qualified with the ESF in 1994, and even ran out with the old Baker Tompkins lot in the GLSML a few years ago. So we're really lucky to have them both, and between them we counted 50 years of umpiring. So there's probably nothing they don't know about the rules, and so there you go. So on Monday we had a pretty good session where we looked at understanding strike zones, catches and tags, and the one that stumps us all, interference and obstruction. We went through some polling questions and then had a general conversation. At any point, do ask questions tonight to Pete and Spence, and the rule here is the trickier the better. Good evening, Paul, thanks for joining again. Tonight, what we're going to go through is the Infield Fly rule, which continues to mystify us even if we've been playing for a long time. Awards, pretty important, and one for coaches and managers, substitutions and lineups, which can be confusing. And finally, the nuances of what happens at first base. So 4 themes to go through. We'll try and wrap up at 6:45. But this is a great opportunity to ask the Blues any questions you have at any point, even if they don't follow one of those 4 themes. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Pete, who will be supported by Spencer.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us again. Okay, the infield fly rule, sorry. In the rulebook, there's quite a long, intricate description of this, but to simplify it, I think it can be simplified a lot. Basically, it means you've got less than 2 out and a force at third base. That's all you kind of need to know. If those 2 situations are there, then you potentially got infield fly if the ball could be caught with ordinary ease by an infielder. So statement 1 we've got here, and the poll will ask you whether it's true or false, both questions. When the infield fly rule is called, the ball is still live. Let's see you the next one, Spence.
No, we've got the second question. On an infield fly call, are runners obliged to run?
I think we've got a poll now. Here we go. Looking good so far.
That's everyone.
Excellent.
Everyone.
Well, looking at that, everyone's got got them both right by the look of it. Indeed, when the infield fly rule is called, the ball is still live. If the ball is caught or not caught, you can actually run the bases. But one thing to bear in mind, if it is caught, the normal rule about tagging up after the fly count. So, yeah, if you're off the base and the ball is caught, you've got to go back to your base before you run. I would say, kind of for a coaching point of view, if the ball's in the infield, do you really want to be running bases? Anyway, but it is still live.
Good point.
Over to you, Spence.
Simply, Pete just took it away from me. If it's in the infield, do you really want to run? It's when it's gone popped up, basically, is what it is. It's an infield pop up. Then obviously the runners aren't obliged to run with the call coming for the batter runner to be out, which is what effectively what happened on the infield fly rule being called. Yeah, I mean, it's quite simple as it states, and everyone understood it from the poll. So I'll just take questions on it, really.
So I've got a question then. What if the infield fly is hit towards your rover fielder standing at second, who's actually an outfielder?
The rules actually say that if a fielder has placed himself in the infield, it would count. They would count for the infield fly. That would still count as caught with ordinary effort by an infielder, because your second base or a shortstop would be able to catch it as well. So that would still count. Yeah. As long as they're kind of in an infield position by that point. If they were sort of half outfield, half infield, you'd have to decide whether one of the four infielders could have caught that with ordinary effort. And bear in mind, different players, ordinary effort means something different. I mean, if you've got Hazard there at shortstop, virtually anything's an infield fly for him. But for me, it wouldn't be.
I think also the other thing I would do, and I would be entitled to do on a judgment, is if that roving player, as you call it, if the number 10 came in and stood up around second or short base or just behind their shoulder, and we had an infield fly situation, I would most really call it, just to prove to that person who came in that actually they're not that clever and they've just made the infield a little bit bigger. So if they are just behind the shortstop or the second base person, around that sort of vicinity, but they are close enough to call an infield fly, then I would call it. And if there was an argument, I would say, well, you came into the infield.
Okay.
Right, so the ball went a bit further than normal because they were there. They, as you say, they've made that infield ring a bit bigger, so they take away the potential for a second out or third out. Yeah. Double or triple play.
Can I just ask also? I think we've all experienced situations where infield flies aren't called, even when caught by ordinary effort, predominantly by infielders. That rule isn't called by BASU blues. Is there a possible reason for that?
I think actually, Spence, do you want to take that? You were talking about it earlier.
I think it's a case of confidence and game management. And quite often you'll find when you have an ordinary effort catch on an infield fly, you'll find an umpire he may have made the fist and it's down here, and he's going, in his mind, he's going, okay, what do I have to do? I need to say something. And before he can actually say anything, the ball's already materialized into a play. And he just hopes and carries on with the game. So it's confidence and management from the umpire being able to say infield fly, batter's out, if ball's fair, you know, and that's what it's all about.
There is actually a rule that we talk about, and it comes in around this situation quite a lot. If the umpire doesn't make the call in time or makes the wrong call and puts runners at jeopardy, you can actually correct it. Obviously, you know, it's not something you want to be doing lots. If you're saying, "Oh, I got that wrong, I'm going to correct it," the umpire will go down in your estimation very quickly. But if an infield fly isn't called and a double play, say, is made out of this, the umpire is quite within their rights. So, that was an infield fly, got it wrong, batter's out, everyone else go back where they were. I have done that once or twice in my early career. I don't think I've got one wrong for a while, so touch wood. But it's there, you can do that as an umpire.
Thanks, Pete. I remember actually doing that very same thing and reversing the call when I started off as well. I think Jez was on the field, to my horror, and it was the most embarrassing, confusing thing I've ever done in softball. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, it's funny when you're saying when Jez is on the field. I remember the first time I umpired him, he was pitching, and I had to call it illegal against him. And I was just mortified. You know, there's the boss, and I've got to call things badly against it. But he wasn't pitching very well. So what do you do? Yeah. Any other questions on infield fly?
So just to check then, if you didn't call it and somebody deliberately dropped the ball to try and get an easy double, you could then reverse your decision and say that's an infield fly.
Yeah. Well, there is a rule on deliberately dropping as well, which might well be worth going into. If they just let the ball drop, that's not deliberately dropped. They just it's not the rule for deliberately dropped. You've got to control the ball in the glove or the hand, and then it's just a catch. The batter is out. Everyone stays where they are.
Yeah.
If they just let it drop, that's actually legal. But you within that rule, that if an umpire by lateness of call or omission puts a runner at jeopardy, then you can correct it.
Okay.
And that's on for everything, not just infield fly, but it doesn't get used very much on anything else. Infield fly is a very easy one to put right if you get it wrong. And if both teams are saying, that was an infield fly, I will say to people, you better put it right and suck it up. You made a mistake, and have 10 people angry with you.
And sorry, one other question. Sorry to keep.
That's all right.
If the ball is hit beyond the infielder, but you think so, they would have to catch it by running backwards. Is that still okay? It doesn't have to go in front of them, does it?
It doesn't. Spence used the word judgment and ordinary effort, and be wary. Certain players, ordinary effort, they can run back 10 yards and catch it very easily. Other people can't. So you kind of have to make a judgment on the ability of the player and where the ball is. That's why it won't be called until the ball's reached the arc, but they're not just about to come down, because then you can judge where it might land.
Yep.
Actually, I think the hardest one to call is when it just blips up and the ball's going to land between the catcher and the pitcher, because it's actually not easy to catch that. Pitchers got to come forward quite a way and often have stepped backwards. Yeah. Catchers, you've got to get up round the batter to run in to get it. And often those don't get called correctly, in my opinion, because it couldn't be caught easily by either the pitcher or the catcher with ordinary effort. Yep. It is a judgment call at the end of the day.
It's probably just worth, I think, pointing out that a fielder letting the ball drop is only really advantageous to the defensive team if the batter runner doesn't run to first base. I'm sure you could get a double play at third and second, but most of the time, if the runner runs to first base, then the worst thing that can happen is there's one runner out somewhere, I think.
Which you were going to get anyway with a catch, yeah.
Worse, if it's deliberately dropped, and the batter runner does actually run to first, then you can actually get a triple play, because if it pops up or goes to third, and it's dropped, then you can you could possibly tag, and then do F4 and F2. Yeah, sorry, F3. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. I recognise.
Possibly, yeah. But a lot of the fields we play on, if you let the ball bounce, it could go anywhere. You're not guaranteed it's going to come straight back to hand. So. I mean, it's a tactic people can use, but letting the ball drop. I've seen it work. I've seen it go badly wrong. over the years. And I do chuckle to myself when it goes badly wrong.
So should we move to our next theme?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's understanding awards.
I think it's probably worth saying that Joel, you've published, there's like a one-page A4 summary of the base awards, because there are quite a lot of them. So we're only going to do the sort of the basic ones here, the ones that happen all the time. But there is a list of what all the awards are and how they happen.
Yeah, we'll publish that with this recording.
Okay, sorry. Right. So I've added the first one. Batter 1 hits the ball to F6, shortstop, who bobbles it. And B1 has already touched first base when F6 throws the ball to F3 to first base. The thrown ball goes to the dead ball area. Batter 1 should be awarded second base. Back to you, Spence.
So the second one will be if I goes to catch a fly ball in foul territory, the momentum takes him into dead ball territory. How many bases are runners awarded?
Here we go, poll time.
Right. Yeah, it's quite strange, actually.
Oh, actually,
Yeah, we've got that.
it's not a yes or no, is it? It's a how many bases? Yes, it's a numeric question rather than a yes or no.
My apologies.
No, that's all right. I hadn't spotted it either.
No.
Yeah.
Put true for 1 base, false for 2.
Excellent.
Cool. I think someone probably had answered that before we said what they are, so that might be.
That's fine. We'll just take it through.
Yeah, take it as it comes.
No, everyone's voted.
Oh, cool.
Okay, looks like we've got it. So, there's a mixture on for question 1. That's interesting, because this is actually a scenario that happens lots. Well, I say lots, it happens. So batter 1 hits the ball F6, fast runner, and a shortstop makes a mistake. So the batter runner has got to first before the ball's thrown. Now the award is 2 bases from the time the ball is thrown. So if the batter has got to first before the ball's thrown and then it goes dead, the batter will get 2 more bases. So that'd be second, then third. So that'd actually be awarded third base on that overthrow.
Is that because it's the first play by an infielder, Pete?
No, that's not actually. I think there might be a baseball rule.
Okay.
It's the fact there's 2 bases from the time of the throw. So
okay.
the runner's got to first, then it's thrown. So it's 2 bases. After they've hit 1.
Understood.
If they were on the way to 1, it would still be 2 bases, but then first and second.
Yeah.
Because they touched first, then they get second and third.
Right.
Very good reason for always making sure you run it out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, do you want to go on the second one, Spence?
Okay, yeah. And then we've got F5 with third goes to catch a fly ball in foul territory. And after taking the catch, they run into the dead ball territory. And that is simplified, and that is just 1 base award. So opposed to Pete's throw, etc., if it's a catch and carry, then it's just a 1 base.
From when it goes dead.
From when it goes dead.
Yeah. Once the sheet of awards is published, it's very good to look at. You get 1, 2, and 3 and 4 base awards, and some of them are from when it goes dead, and some are from when it was thrown. Some are from the pitch. This is vital to remember which.
Some are from the back.
It's actually the time of the pitch, and the classic one on this. I used to get this all the time. I slice the ball right field. I'm a cricketer originally, and I do a hit, and it hits the ground in fair territory, or hits the fielder in fair territory, then rolls foul and dead. And being the fastest runner in the world, I've usually got past second by the time this happens. But the award is actually 2 bases from the time of the pitch. So when I do that, as a batter, I'm never going any further than second.
Pete, just to interrupt you very quickly, your virtual background has now taken over your face.
Oh, has it? Sorry, I'll switch it off. I can find out how to do it.
But it was part of the demonstration, Pete, showing us where you hit.
I've tried. No, I don't know where that's come from. Yeah, well, it's obviously been up there. Virtual background. None.
Perfect.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, this is one that actually confuses, I think, a lot of people. The hit off in right field. Someone the right field tries to catch it, doesn't catch it, but because they've touched it in fair territory, it's a fair ball. But the ball then rolls foul and dead. It's 2 bases from the time of the pitch, not from when they touched it. That's an odd one that catches a few people out.
Just a quick question. If the ball is caught and carried dead,
yep,
presumably the runners don't need to return to bases.
If it's a caught ball, they could be appealed on. So you can do a dead ball appeal. Wow. So they could be appealed on missing bases. So always teach your runners to go back and tag up, even if they think they have, especially if it's dead, they've got time.
Okay, yeah. So they would just go back after the ball was carried dead. They can still go back to the base.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So it could still be appealed.
Yeah.
Good question, though.
Thanks.
I'm saying there are a huge number of awards, so these are the ones that often happen. The 2 probably that happen the most. They had Joelle's throwing the glove at the ball. We had that one on Monday. I think we covered quite well. If it's a batted ball, the batter's protected for 3 bases at least, possibly home on that one. And if it's a thrown ball, it's 2 bases from when the ball hits the glove. Same as the batted one. Obviously doesn't matter where it's from because you're going to get to third anyway. Any more questions on awards? Well, you could always ask them at the end as well, because I mean, it might come to you a scenario that troubles you.
Okay, so we can move on to the next theme, which is
fun at first.
Substitutions and lineups.
This is actually something that is coming into the game rather more. I mean, at one point we only saw this when we went to European or international level, but at NSL level, certainly the nationals, we bring scorecards in. So looks like everyone's got the first question right. A starting player, including the EPs. It did used to be the EPs were treated differently, which is, thank goodness, got changed, because that was a weird one. They can come out of the game and re-enter, but they have to come back to the same position in the batting order, not the same fielder position. That's irrelevant. It's all about batting order on these substitutions. A substitute, on the other hand, can come in once they go out. That's it. They're done for the day. They can't come in again as a substitute. So it looks like everyone got that one right. Over to you, Spence.
And then, I mean, so the manager, he can arrange it in any order he wants with the actual players he's using, but then he's got to remember that he's got to do it alternate with the sexes.
Absolutely.
And even if he's got 12, so if you've got the normal 10, it's fine. But if you have the 12 batters, then it has to be one of each sex. It's a bit of an ambiguous question, actually.
It is actually, that could be worded better. Yeah,
I'm just, for the 10th time of reading it. So the manager, he can arrange it in any order as long as he uses alternative sexes.
And it's probably worth mentioning I don't think it's actually as a rule yet, but it's advice from the BSF about the LGBT and non-binary players. There is some guidance and advice around which I'm certainly getting to grips with. So the batting order has to abide by those regulations as well. If you have any non-binary players in your team, it's on the BSF or the BSUK website, which is probably the BSF website. It's worth having a look at.
It is, yeah.
We'll signpost to it afterwards. It's on certainly on the BSUK LGBT advisory panel section, but we'll include it for anyone that's interested. And it's guidance that's going to be stress tested by the BSF and a working committee soon.
Actually, it'd be interesting just thinking of these subjects we got here, to add maybe had a line about substitutions. If they would have to be the same designation as the person that's being substituted, I guess. I just thought of that actually. I mean, it might not be relevant. But, you know, I say not everyone uses proper substitutions and lineup cards. In fact, it's very rarely done. But I would say it's actually as a coach or a captain of a team, watch out for what the other team are doing, because I've seen games won and lost on appeals on incorrect substitutions. One was actually a GB team at a World Cup could have taken the game into an extra innings because I think it was a Turks and Caicos runner missed third base going home, and GB were the home team, so they were all sitting, or the substitutes, whatever, was sitting on the third base dugout. The umpire who was there hung around a bit longer than you're supposed to stay on the field until it's appealed. He stood there. No one noticed that he was still there. They all left, and he left, and they lost that game. It was semi-final of a World Cup. They could have taken it into an extra innings had they been looking. So yeah, it's a way of getting out.
Can you just explain at what point a team should point out that an error has been made with the batting lineup?
Really good question again. I mean, you can mention it at virtually any point, but there are times when it.
Guys, I'm sorry, I'm getting.
So if it's a batter, if the defense say, "Oh, it's the wrong batter," all you do is swap over in the box and you adopt the same count. So that's not a good time for the defense to gain an advantage from appealing it. If they let him or her get on base and then appeal it, that's when you get an out. So that's a good time to appeal it. If another pitcher's come in, you can still appeal it, but you're not going to get the out. So as a batter, when that batter's hit the ball and got on base, that's the time to appeal it to the maximum effect. And if it's a fielder, when they've made a play, if they're not involved in the play and you appeal it, they just got to swap over. But if they've been part of the play, you can, if they've made a catch or a throw to get an out and they were unreported substitute, you appeal it at that point, and that out gets reversed. So you can gain an out or get an out back by appealing at the correct time. Does that answer that question?
Yes, it does. So if there's an error has been made and you get the batter out, then there's obviously no need to appeal that play. Can your right to appeal continue if the batting order is continued to be incorrect?
Oh, that's actually a slightly different issue rather than the incorrect substitution. If it was a batting out of order, okay. If say batter 5 is supposed to come up and batter 7 comes up,
if
it's out, you say there's no point really. Well, actually, there is a point in appealing. You can actually, at that point, you could appeal them and get a second out, because the person who should have batted would be out as well.
Yeah.
So you get B5 and B7 out. B7 was got out in normal play, but B5 would be out on the appeal. So, but if at that point, say you didn't appeal it, you didn't spot it till later. So batter 7 batted, got out at first. Batter 8 comes up next and bats, and as soon as another pitch is thrown, you can't appeal it. So that would be that is the normal batting order now anyway.
Okay.
They kind of, B5 should have come up. B7 comes up. If they then go B8, B9, 2 players have just lost out.
Yeah.
If they try and correct it, you're probably going to get another batting out of order.
Yeah.
It's very, very confusing.
Okay. All right. I understand that. Thanks.
All right. If there are no other questions,
one about substitutions. What substitutions have to be notified to the umpire?
Yep. Do you want to take that, Spence? Do you hear it? what substitutions need to be notified to the umpire?
All of them.
Yep.
All of them is the simple answer. I mean, every time you make a substitution, you have to come up to the plate and speak to the umpire, and you must also refer it to the official scorer, if we have one, if there is one.
It's worth pointing out that a substitution is someone new coming into the game. If you're moving people around fielding positions, that's not a substitution.
So a DHer becoming a fielder?
No, that's not. No, an EP.
That's all right.
EP is an extra player and not designated hitters. No, that's not a substitution. That's just you're allowed to do that as part of the standard game if you're batting 6 and 6.
Yeah.
All right. Should we move on to the final subject tonight, which is what on earth goes on at first base? Go on, Pete.
Okay,
Spence, enlighten us.
Once the batter runner passes first base, the only fair portion of the double base shall be used. Only the fair portion shall be used to determine if the player is on or off base. Okay. Spence.
I'm getting a hell of a lot of distortion here, guys. Sorry. I can barely hear anyone at the moment.
Okay.
You want me to do it, or are you okay?
Yeah, well, I don't know what you. I heard you, but I didn't hear you properly. Have you just done one?
Yes, sorry. Yes, I've done one. Yeah.
Batter one hits a ground ball to F5 and beats a fielder's throw to F3, but batter one misses the base. The umpire should automatically declare batter one out.
And question 3. R1 is on first base. B2 hits a sharp ground ball to F3, first base fielder, who first touches first base and then touches the runner who's standing on first base. The umpire should rule both out. Here we go to the polls. Everyone's having to think about this one.
Pulling up. Oh.
One to go. Yeah, a bit of a mixed response to these ones. That's good, actually. It gives us. It means we got things we can talk about. Okay, I think that's it. Moving it up. The first one. Once the batter runner passes first base, only the fair portion of the double base shall be used to determine if the player is on or off first base. That's a true statement. The orange part only exists from running from the home, the batter's box, to first base. As soon as you either come back from overrunning first base, or if you turn when you come back to first base, only the white bit exists for you as a base runner. Do you want to do any questions on that, or does that make sense? Do you want to do the answers too, Spence?
Okay, everybody can hear me, although I can't hear you. Is that correct?
I'm hearing you. Okay.
Good. So if we've got the ball goes to third and then gets thrown to first, as the ball is in the process of being thrown, the batter, although he misses the base, but he goes past the base, and then the throw is made. we don't automatically declare it out.
How would you get the runner out of that point, Spence? You said knowing you
I'm
know the
waiting
answer.
for an appeal.
You make an
Yeah.
appeal. Yep.
Yeah, so we're waiting for an appeal on that play because of the missed base. And that is the reason we don't automatically declare it.
And the appeal would look more like a tag, wouldn't it, in this case?
Oh, I was just waiting for the questions to come in for that. But
Sorry.
okay. No, it's all right. That's fine.
Okay, and the third one, runner 1 is on first base. Batter 2 hits a sharp ground ball towards first base fielder, who first tags touches the base, and then tags R1, who's standing on first base. The umpire should rule both out. No, because, and the simple reason for this is as soon as the fielder, F3, touches first base, the batter runner is out, and then so the runner who's is standing on first base is no longer forced.
Mm.
If you did it the other way around, if you did the tag of the runner first, even though they're on first base, because they're forced to run, they can be tagged when they're on the base and then stood on first base, you would get 2 out. So as a fielder, do the tag first, then take the bag, touch the base. So tag, then bag.
Talk about getting game ready. That's nothing I've heard of before, Pete. So as I play one, I'm going to do that one.
At second base as well. I mean, the classic scenario of this, you think you've got a triple play, you've got a runner at 1 and 2, ball sits straight to shortstop, goes across, steps on second base, tags the runner, then throws to 1. The most you can get there is 2 outs because you've taken the force off. And it's one of these things we teach our umpires, look out this scenario, watch very carefully what comes first, and we use the expression, tag then bag is the right way. Bag then tag is not. So tag first, then take the base, and you can get your 2 outs. Does that make sense to everyone? It's one of those things that once you get it, it's really clear, but if you don't, it really isn't. Who's still on the call, actually? I think Paul's still there, isn't he?
I'm here.
Can't see many other people. They disappeared off the list.
Everyone's here. We've even been joined, meanwhile, by Hurling.
Oh, yes, I saw that. Hello, Ellie. So, any questions on these, or anything else that kind of happens around first?
Dave?
Yeah, Pete and Spence. That sorry, just going back to that first base. If the runner doesn't touch the base,
yep,
and the fielding team make the throw and get a true out, why does it have to be appealed? Surely, as an umpire, the runner has not made the base. The runner has run past the base, not touched the base. The ball has gone to the fielder. The fielder's done exactly what the fielder should do. Why is it not an automatic out?
Right.
It's the same as the runner being a step short to get in before the ball gets it.
Oh, that's the thing. It is the timing.
Appeal it. It should, surely, as the umpire, it should just be you're done. You're out. Because
runners are, if runners miss a base, overrun a base or miss a base, they're deemed to have touched it until appeal. That's what it says in the rules. And if they've actually kind of jumped over it and the other side of 1, into the outfield side of first base, and then the throw arrives after that. The throw was to try and get them out before they got there. The throw didn't beat the runner, so they're the word deemed. I'm trying to think of a different word. They're taken to have touched it unless appealed. I know something might not sound right, but that's what the rules say we've got to do. It's like runners, if they miss 2 on the way round, they're deemed to have touched it unless it's appealed. So that's why it does fall to an appeal rather than the runner beat the throw That's why they're not out straight away, but they still can be out on appeal. And advice to first base people, as runners are coming back, always just gently tag them, or tag them hard, no, gently tag them, just in case. Why not? Or if they turn the corner to go.
It says that for a runner to be safe, they must touch the base.
But it also says that if they've overrun it, they are deemed to have touched it unless appealed.
That's on second and third base. I can understand it, but on first base, you know, it's just, as far as I'm concerned, it's black and white. You've touched it, yes. You haven't. Well, the ball has beaten you then.
Well, things it hasn't been. If the runner's got there first, but overrun it
because they've missed it.
Well,
yeah. Robbie, if I can just say this to you, you say it's clear that they missed first, which may be the case. But if you've got someone that's bounding over second and going to third, and no defensive player spots it, do you expect the second base umpire just to say you're out?
At second base or first base?
No, because someone like that's got your speed, you may like whip over first base and think, oh, cool, everything's good, but you may have actually missed it by like a millimeter or a few millimeters, and you don't want to be called out by the umpire because you don't.
The question is not by millimeter. The question that you guys have posted is not by millimeters. I can understand, but I mean, if you're stepping over the base, you know, even with my poor eyesight, I can see that from 60 feet. So,
yeah.
Well, like I said, that's what the rules are at the moment. I mean, it's possible they'll change, but at the moment, if they've run over it and then the ball arrives, then you won't call them out except on an appeal.
Unless an appeal. Okay.
Yeah.
So presumably, though, if the runner comes back to the base and then touches the base,
they're safe now.
Pete, you mentioned something about it being a tag play, so you could tag the runner.
Yeah, you'd have to, because if they got back to the base, they would now be safe.
Of course.
So you tag. The appeal it does take the form of a tag before they get back.
Are we talking about more if the batter runner turns onto the field rather than turns away?
No, this is actually just missing the base, running straight through. We're talking here.
Okay.
An interesting point though, if they did show intent to go to 2, that's what the rules say. They are still the appeal of them turning would be a tag. Of course, that is effectively a tag anyway, because if they get back to the base, they're safe anyway. But that is a question some people ask as well. Happened on 1. The runner is just going to first, never intending to go anywhere else, but turns into the green part of the diamond and gets tagged. Would you give them out? The answer to that is no, unless as an umpire you thought they intended to go to 2. Someone just turning that way, turning left, and looking at second base isn't necessarily showing intent to go. That's they've got to be the judgment of the umpire. But again, coaching, turn right. Why not? If you're not going to second, turn right. Don't give them any chance.
Another reason to turn right, actually, which is so you can see the ball if it gets past the first baseman.
That's very true. Yep, absolutely true. I suppose you can argue looking left towards second. If the ball isn't thrown, you want to see where the ball is, but you should be listening to your base coach.
Shouldn't they all?
But yeah, I as a coach, I always tell people turn right. But if you turn left, it doesn't mean it's not definitely you're definitely going to 2. It's just you're looking that way. So you have to show an intent, which is like a step, or you can see someone drops the shoulder and is looking to run. To me, it's quite obvious if they were intending to go to 2, then ambles back to 1 very, very cautiously.
All right. On that note, the clock says that we've overrun by not first base, but by 5 minutes. So, any other questions? Just put up your hand, wave, gesticulate, talk over me. Otherwise,
can I just ask one final random question, which I've always been worried about as an umpire?
Go on.
What's the official rule on somebody getting hit? So if you're a batter and you whack it straight at the pitcher, Are you normally entitled to walk to first, or could you run all the way round while everybody's tending to them?
Oh, wow.
So if you do run all around, you won't be Mr. Popular anymore.
No, yeah.
The thing to do is listen to the umpire's call. If, as an umpire, I've stopped play on a few occasions, and it's usually pretty obvious the noise the ball, or either the player that's hit makes, or the ball makes when hitting them, let you know we've got to stop this now. You know, this isn't a game of softball anymore. This is more about someone getting injured.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, listen to what the umpire calls. It's the times I've had to do it, it's been unpleasantly obvious that I had to do it. And then the umpire will just place the runners in where he thinks they would have got had that. Yeah, he'd not had to call time. But to be honest, most people are more worried about the injured player and where those runners go. But yeah, it's good question. It gets asked a lot of courses.
All right. Any more questions, folks?
Yeah, Pete Spence.
Rob.
When you have a run on one,
Right.
and this, I see this a hell of a lot, B grade, C grade, but also in A grade, and it scares the living bejesus out of me. You got to run at one, shortstop fields the ball, makes the touch at 2. The runner coming up the running line just stays standing up straight. They do not make any attempt to get out the way or go down. Now, there are times where I know myself, Hazard, even a few of the other 8 graders, you've gone to make that throw and you've had to stop because you know that ball will just hit the person in the face. When are the umpires going to start taking control of that and making sure that the runners either get out the way or go down? Because someone is going to get injured, and it's not going to be just a cut or a bruised eye.
Yeah, it's going to be hospital.
It's very serious. And like I said, the only thing that's saving a lot of these players right now is the fact that the experienced throwers are holding back at losing an out.
As you know, I've been out for a good couple of years, but I was very hot on calling that dead ball straight away and calling that runner out. I was extremely hot on it simply for that reason you've talked about. I don't know if you go back all the years, but at one stage you used to throw the ball regardless. And this was more sort of in baseball and fast pitch. But and I've seen some horrible injuries from young people because of that, and obviously it was stopped because of everything. I call it. I mean, and yeah, I think that's. I'm going to say it's similar to the Infield Fly. It's the experience and the confidence and the management and knowing and not being scared to call it because you're going to get shouted at by the runner, for instance. Okay. It's a case of you call it dead and that's it, and call the runner out.
We've been teaching for the last at least 2 years in that situation. The shortstop touches 2, has got the arm up to throw, and the runner's in the way, call it. You don't have to throw. If the shortstop's not even trying to throw it, you wouldn't. You wouldn't call it there. But if they're coming in fast and they've got they're bringing the arm back as if to throw, call it to avoid injury. Because, yeah, as you say, Robbie, someone is going to get seriously injured.
Yeah, I had to tell you this, Pete, but the umpires are not calling it. Last season, the season before, the amount of outs we lost because I was more worried about the health of the runner than getting an out. And, yes, I love slow pitch, but it's not life and death. But the runners are putting themselves in that situation.
Yeah.
And just like I said, it scares the shit out of me when I see so many. And like I said, it's not just B and C graders. A graders doing it now as well.
Yeah, you kind of think that the A graders are doing it deliberately. The 2 things, we will re-emphasise this to all the umpires to start calling this more. But maybe it's a coaching point to players to get out of the way. I mean, that's probably harder because some of the people just starting haven't really done coaching. But yeah, we can attack this from two directions. We'll put a thing out for umpires to start calling this more because we don't want people going to hospital. You know, they're out there to have fun.
Yeah,
and the
and
player that throws it won't feel good.
You know, it's basic rule: get out the way. It's
Yeah,
the fielder's got priority now. You get out the way. Because it did happen to me last year and the year before, where again I was on shortstop, picked the ball up, touched the bag, made the throw, and the next thing I got wiped out because the lump of a runner didn't bother sliding or getting out the way and just ran me over. Now, the very, very experienced home plate umpire, who shall not be named, Chris Moon, didn't bother to even caution the base runner or anything. He just let play go. And unfortunately, then what happened is the game actually turned into a bun fight after that, because every call he made was argued, and he then threatened to throw everybody off. So, you know, it's not about getting anybody ejected. It's the safety and also making sure that everybody else continues to enjoy the game.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. I'll make a note that, yeah, we'll re-emphasize that and try and get more umpires calling it.
I'll make sure that all the B and C grade teams that are umpire when the season starts know that.
And Robbie, of course, you won't find that in any Bracknell team.
I'm right.
Listen,
play against Robbie now, we might, but
we will have to against Robbie. That's the new rule. Listen, folks. On that note, we have overrun a bit, so thanks for bearing with. But I think it's a good sesh with lots of questions coming through. Firstly, huge thanks to Spencer and Pete for giving up their time, for Robbie for turning up and asking awkward questions, but also for taking the time out to train us for the last 2 weeks as well. So thank you ever so much. Thanks to Julie and Alan, Robbie's assistant coaches at the Academy, and thanks to Tien and Hurling and Paul and all the other Slowpitch Softball members and the wider community. Just to leave you with a couple of things. First off, BASU aren't running any courses right now, but when they do, your league will find out and details will be updated on the BSF website under the section that's highlighted there. So keep an eye out. This absolutely wasn't a sales pitch for becoming BASU qualified, but there are worse ways to spend a weekend and earn some money and learn the rules. If you do want to, if you are short of bedside reading, all 120 pages of the WBSU rulebook is available via that link to download and read at your leisure. Otherwise, look, Pete and Spence have been good enough to share their contact details. So any rules, anything that's stumping you, hit them with it. And that leaves me to thank everyone once more. Stay safe, stay alert. And the good news is, as of today, we know that we can start training with one other person in our household or just one other person. So that's really exciting news. We can see softball returning slowly but surely. But thanks everyone for your time tonight.
thank you, Pete.
All the best,
you.
guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thanks, Joel.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye now.